this is Charlie from Charlie's Awesome World of Adventures, and today I'm going to give you my review on The Bad Guys 2. After being released from prison, Wolf, Snake, Tarantula, Piranha and Shark are struggling to fit into society and as they try to prove is to the world they've changed and become good. But after being inspired by I had to not give up hope. Wolf does eyes for the team to help the chief, if police who is now the commissioner, as this mysterious new villain called the Phantom Bandit. However, the bandit Frank aims the bad guys, and it's revealed that there's a trio of bad girls, also known as Kitty Cats, Pigtail, and Doom, and they need the bad guys to come out of retirement for one last job of one of the biggest heists in history, to steal the rockets they can and use the power for on the material or MacGuffin to steal all the world's gold. Oh, but what the girls don't know is that the bad guys are planning to sabotage their schemes before it's too late. So I really liked the first Bad Guys when it came out. It's honestly one of those DreamWorks films that grows on me the more I watch it. It was the film I thought was good when I first saw it, but I grew to really like it the more times I saw it. So I was really excited when I heard we were going to get a sequel. Cool. And it easily did become one of my most anticipated films of the year. Yeah, and I gotta say, I'm having a hard time to decide which one of the two is better. Like, I'll say now, this sequel is amazing. It's honestly great. But I still can't decide between this and the original of which it's one of the two. It is the better film. I don't know. Maybe I'll have it decided by the end of the year when I do my top 10 best and top 10 worst lists. But we'll have to wait and see. All that matters is that I had a great time with this film. So let's start with the characters. Like in the first film, these guys are easily the highlights of the feature. Their personalities really shine in this film, and a great reason for that would be with the voice acting. Of course, some of the previous ones on the first film, they as amazing as the job as they did in the original, like Sam Rockwell's Wolf, Mark Maron Snake, Awkwafina's Tarantula, Angela Craig Robertson as Shark, as he beats as Diane. But I think the best ones are the new actors, especially with Danielle Brooks as Kitty. And she gives a devastating menacing performance. But going into the reform on bad guys themselves, you have the leader of the group, Wolf, who out of all of them is the most determined to show the city that the bad guys have gone on good. However, due to the past, he found it hard to keep a positive mind. And as everyone always looks down on him for his past mistakes, even if he does try to be optimistic to help his friends feel like they can be accepted, it still doesn't change the fact that acceptance is not easy for them. And this brings up the film's important message. Is of never losing hope, and proving there is more to you than what your exterior and past presents. And the message in the first one was already strong, on offering a great don't judge a book by its cover. Others message, but the sequel does improve on on the message to make it seem more engaging and to have the audience relate more to characters just like Wolf respectively. As for the rest of the bad guy, I do a good job of to show a bit of their personality. Like Shark is as the disguise that often panics. Next, Tarantula, aka Web, as the team acting expert, and the youngest of the group, a Piranha. And that is the loot who's cat and that farts once when he's nervous. As Dame, it took a great change in his personality to be a good advice guy. Anne is the one who seems to have the easiest time who accepts his new good lifestyle. Other characters from the first film do it. Anthony, it's like Misty Luggins being in the new mission. Now, Anne struggles between her trust and lack of trust of the bad guys. Marmalade is returned to get information from himself, and of course, the Diane's also back. The governor who can even make me say that I'm not a furry. Anyways, her role is to add extra help to the bad guys to get them out of the next sticky situation. Or to be their biggest supporter. The film also so dives deep into her character. So whether it be with her history of the Crimson Paw, or getting to more or into her relationship with Wolf, all of which I think honestly had a nice conclusion. It's not a story arc that's focused a lot through the film, but I did appreciate the amount out that was shown. As for the new bad girls that were introduced in the feature, the leader of that group would be Kitty Cat. Who also known as the Phantom Bandit, she's the one most determined to cement and to Elfin legacy to put all of the greatest heist of the world I've ever seen. And thanks to Daniel Brooks' fantastic performance, she serves as a solid villain for the feature, especially when her relationship with bad guys and her own bad girls get more interesting as the feature will go on. As for her associates, there's Pigtail, the Muscles, who's also a big crime now out of the bad guys, and Doom, who honestly ends up as an ex-love interest. And honestly, the relationship between Doom and Snake is probably the funniest thing in this film. I love how Snake becomes more obsessed with her the more bad stuff she does to him, and the more she betrays him. It's honestly hilarious. Yes. If I did have to have a problem with the characters, it's that some of them, especially Pigtail, don't feel like they have enough time to show off all their personalities, but that I see more as a minor nitpick than anything. Now, let's move on to the story. One thing I was worried about was actually the story itself. When I'm reading the script, it reminded me of another animated film. Now I know that this probably wasn't the filmmaker's intentions, and I'm sure, and I know this was probably just a coincidence. But when I read the storyline, it honestly reminded me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem, what is it about out this group of animal or like characters who those who want to be accepted by society, see, and end up helping the villains with their ultimate plan, and 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 then have to be either one to stop them. I was worried that the film would unintentionally rip off that feat. To make it seem even less original. And while I wouldn't say the writing is the film's strongest aspect, especially since it did get into a bit of my worries, this was surprisingly not the case. It does us close to that line, especially with plot outlines point wants to make a kid similar to Mutant Mayhem, but it's not obviously not trying to be a rip-off and be its own thing. However, I'll say now, the story line itself turned out to be a bit better than what I was expecting. One thing that did kind of disappoint me is how the film does rely on similar story beats from the original. Or especially when it comes from the gut, eyes being aimed by the villain, or how the team in contemplate between and struggles to choose between the good and bad life. As a result, it does make the feature feel kind of predictable, or where the outcomes are quite guessable. However, while the storyline is definitely not the film's strongest aspect, the execution more than makes up for it. One thing that this film doubles down on is the action. I'll talk about this a little bit later, but the action makes this film crazy and insane, and it honestly helps the feature. It acts a lot more like a summer blockbuster. The main thing you want to see is these big action set pieces, and it knows how to get its audience invested. Not to mention, and of how the storyline does get more interesting as more of the girl's plan gets revealed. And what that ultimate plan for the bad guys really is another thing that helps this film be as enjoyable as possible is the comedy. I honestly thought the first film had some really great jokes, but the sequel is even funnier. Most of the jokes in this film are honestly hilarious, making this easily one of the funniest movies of the year. And it was very rare that the film offered a joke that was lower than S tier. It's safe to say that I really love the humour in the film. And then there is the animation. One of the most admirable things about the first film was its animation style. Where it took the spike either a style that was starting to get popular in the early 2020s, needs to get a lot more creative and stylized with it. And the result was really great in the first film, but I think they improved it on the sequel. This is especially the case with the lines, but at this stage, you're a very close to that book adaptation. And make the most of the added lines and details to make them stand out and fit well into the feature. The film also gets really creative with the texture of some of the characters to make them stand out in a comic book like way. Also, one thing that really helped this film was the character animation. Where they let the characters be as well as cartoony as possible, but it honestly helped the feat to get highly creative. and was the one thing that got me really invested with the action. Also, the back action was big and immersive. So the world of the bag was something I really liked looking at in the first film, but the sequel does expand on it as it gives the characters a lot more materials. From the opening scene in Aria, which also the bad guys on one of their first heists. Heist 2. Two and aliens start already halfway through the feature. All with the client, IMAX, as where they literally take it to space. But what can easily be the best thing about this movie's animation are the action scenes. Like I said before, or the film does not hold back on making the action as crazy and insane as possible. But and the animation amplifies it. So one, I think this does really well. Is up the intensity and the craziness of the situation. They know that this is a cartoon animated feature, which says as the animators go all out with the animation to make the action as intense and as exciting as possible, especially delivering an incredibly thrilling IMAX that left me on the edge of my seat. So overall, while I'm still struggling to decide which one of the two is better, so I'm definitely not struggling to decide when I say that this was a great sequel. The Bad Guys 2 took what was already amazing about the original and amplified it to offer an awesome experience. And maybe the writing is not the best of the year, and some of the characters could have had a bit more development, but it more than makes up for it with a highly enjoyable story, crazy action, lovable characters, incredible voice acting, amazing animation, and some hilarious comedy. That makes this one of the most fun and action-packed features of the year. If you're a fan of the original Bad Guys, then this is an absolute must-watch. But I'd also recommend this to people who like blockbuster films. If you care a lot about big action set pieces, it's more than engaging stories, and you're honestly gonna have a great time with this. While the title does say that these guys are bad, their movies, especially this one, are anything but. And that's why I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!